All right, so we have the first stage, okay? And this is some more visuals of that glomerulus, the tubular structure. Well, I won't say tubulus, keep calling it glomerulus at this point, okay? And that structure that we see, because they tried to show in the previous slides and on the little videos that we have watched, the cutaway of this structure and how the vessel, the basement membrane, and then the podocytes that wrap around it create the ability for those materials to pass, but at the same time, keeping certain materials behind, like, for example, the red blood cells and the proteins, all right? So once again, structure becomes very important. So glomerulus, inside of that glomerular capsule, blood flow comes in, blood flow leaves. We're under pressure, okay? Now, as we look at that, all right, as that blood flow moves through, under normal conditions, we have a rate that should occur, meaning the amount of the blood that comes through and therefore leading to filtrate and giving us urine. So we call it glomerular filtration rate, GFR. You'll see this and if you're like looking at a patient's notes, okay, you may see where they did a GFR test. And that's what it stands for. It stands for glomerular filtration rate. That is basically what this process of moving the blood into and filtering is. It's a calculation, yes. They will use some numbers, all right? And the goal, determine how well the kidneys are filtering. So GFRs will usually be done maybe if it's an acute problem, like maybe somebody had something made them sick or whatever, and it affected the kidneys for a short amount of time, or it can be something that's chronic, people who may actually have kidney disease, okay? Now, if the number goes down, that means there's a decrease in kidney function. So based upon age, physical condition, there will be a norm value that person's GFR should fall into. On a normal day, based upon blood getting moved by the heart, all right, males will roughly move 180 liters of fluid per day. Females, 150 liters of fluid through the kidneys per day. Now, anybody in here go that much to the bathroom? Anybody in here supply their body with that much fluid? No. Okay? I have a hard enough time getting a liter of fluid down. But that's because of that 180 liters, only about 1 to 2 will end up as urine per day, which is good. That's great. Okay?
Isn't like polyuria like you use the bathroom a lot?
Yes, and there is a diabetes associated with that called diabetes insipidus. And this has nothing to do, diabetes is strictly urine formation. All right? We tend to associate it with sugar. Okay? But diabetes is dealing with the fluids. Diabetes insipidus lets us know polyuria. Now, polyuria can also be indicative of like diabetes type 1 and type 2 because people will tend to go to the bathroom more and be thirsty more. But when we talk about a diabetes insipidus, We're talking about people who are having a problem with anti-diuretic hormone. Does anybody remember where that's from? My posterior pituitary. And if it goes wrong, they can secrete 20 or more liters of urine per day. I am talking, they usually have to be put on, they are put on medication for the rest of their lives. So under normal conditions, we're going to hopefully produce about 1 to 2 liters of urine per day. If you stay well hydrated, it's probably more on that 2 liters or maybe a little more, okay? If you're not as well hydrated, it's probably going to be that 1 or less, which is not good. But anyway, we all do it, okay? So the regulations for urine production, renal auto-regulation, meaning the kidneys auto-regulate. The kidneys will watch that production. We will have our sympathetic control, meaning, do you guys in the little video, they kind of showed that little juxtamedullary apparatus? Looks like a little horn coming off of the kidney. And that had some smooth muscle. And because it has smooth muscles and it's right there at the blood vessels, it has the ability to help those blood vessels constrict and relax. And if that happens, that's controlling the blood flow. And then, of course, hormones, i.e. anti-diuretic hormone, is a major one that plays a part. So the way that the kidneys themselves will regulate the amount of urine, we have what's called the myogenic mechanism, basically that area of the smooth muscle. In the video where it kind of showed all right, so we had the blood flow coming in, had our glomerulus, blood flow going out, had my capsule going around it, and so I had my blood vessels, and then it kind of showed what looks like the end of a musical instrument, best I can tell. It showed like this little tubular structure, and it kind of connected in between the 2 vessels, the juxtamedullary apparatus. Okay, there's a little area of smooth muscle right there. That's it. Not a whole lot, but the nephrons are microscopic. Okay, so this mechanism, blood pressure. Now, under normal conditions, blood pressure goes up, goes down, goes up, goes down. You sit down, goes down, get up, goes up. You know what I'm talking about. Then, if we, oh man, y'all, I can't really demonstrate that good today because I've been working in my garden. Oh man, oh mercy. I thought for sure it was going to kill me on Saturday. But, you know, maybe I should have done some stretching. You know, that sort of thing. And we increase that blood flow. That increases blood volume, if y'all remember, in our veins. We've got the ability to help with that, okay? But under normal conditions, blood pressure adjusts, okay?
You said a lot of diseases or like disorders will have like an effect on the kidneys, right?
Mm-hmm.
It was this it's this thing that I watched. It's called like Kids Eat or Kids Meet. Like they meet certain people, and they met like this man who had TAR syndrome.
Had what?
TAR syndrome. It's called thrombopenia something.
Oh, thrombocytopenia?
Yeah.
Okay.
And like his arms were like shorter than normal people's arms. How would that like affect his kidney?
Well, now if it had thrombo in there, that dealt with blood and that dealt with blood platelets. And blood platelets are usually high in their count. That would affect the thickness of the blood and therefore affect the pressure on the kidneys. But now, this is one of the reasons that people who have high blood pressure have, if it stays chronic, for example, okay, if they can't like keep it under nice control, well, even if they do keep it under control with medications, certain arteries and vessels of your body get affected anyway, okay? But people who might have really serious high blood pressure problems and are on like 2 or 3 medications and they're like, oh, well, I can't control, blah, blah, blah. This is why kidneys begin to get affected. This little glomerulus, that area right there, bursts. So under these chronic high blood pressure problems, those little glomeruli burst, and they tend up getting, they usually end up getting like glomerulonephritis, which could probably happen with that particular disease. But then when it destroys, now they said like 1.3 million per kidney, okay? When it begins to destroy a certain amount, and I can't remember the percentage right off the top of my head. I have to go back and look it up. But when it destroys a certain amount of those little nephrons, those little glomeruli, kidney failure is going to drop. So this is what will happen if people have high blood pressure. So if blood pressure goes up, that means more blood flowing into that glomerulus. It wants to constrict the arteriole. Don't allow that high amount of blood coming in. If it falls, it will relax and let more blood flow in. So itself, through the apparatuses that it has, can correct tubuloglomerular feedback. Ugh. This little apparatus helps again. We're going to see that where those arterioles come in, based on my filtration rate, it can actually pick up on the amount that blood coming in and pushing that filtrate into that little Bowman's capsule. Okay, it can pick up on that, and it'll say, whoa, wait a minute. Too much filtrate's getting formed. Those little tubes can't handle this, and it will cause constriction and relaxation of those arterioles. So the kidneys themselves will regulate the blood flow. Sympathetic, our sympathetic system, okay? Everybody remember the autonomic nervous system? Okay, so sympathetic. We had sympathetic, parasympathetic. Okay, if you remember, sympathetic was not sympathetic at all. Okay, it just ramped everything up, got us ready for that fight or flight. Okay, however, if you remember, under normal conditions, our body's doing this anyway. It's kind of keeping it at, do you guys remember, the autonomic tone, okay? In other words, if we think about our heart rate's getting help from that. Kidneys are getting help from that tone that can be kept. So we have our sympathetic. Doesn't say anything about parasympathetic, okay? So that means sympathetic nerve fibers, which would be to ramp it up, fight or flight, okay? We need that. For example, during exercise, I gotta have some help, okay? Gotta get things going, get things moving, get things flowing, okay? Circulatory shock, i.e. heart attack, okay? Don't want the kidneys shutting down. What's usually like one of the things going to happen if somebody's going through system failure and die? Kidneys fail. Kidneys fail. They don't get them back up and running, so to speak. That's it. Do you see why now? Because of everything. that they're going to filter and take care of.